Okay, I'm going to go to our clerk. He's going to do roll call.
Town of Vidalia Board of Alderman roll call for the emergency meeting of the Mayor and Board of Alderman dated March 17, 2020. Alderman Betts.
Present.
Alderman Dorey.
Present.
Alderman Gardner.
Here.
Alderman McCoy. Alderman McCoy is noted to be absent. Alderman Probst. Alderman Probst is noted to be absent at this time. There. Oh, you better do better.
Let the record reflect Alderman Probst just showed up, and also for the record, Alderman McCoy's mother, I think, fell and hurt herself, so he wasn't going to be able to be with us today. So he did call. Okay, before we get started and get to item number 1, which is dealing with the resolution for us declaring a public health emergency due to the coronavirus, I do want to bring our public up to date on some of the things that we've gotten from our state, Louisiana Department of Health, and Office of the Secretary, and also our governor. One of the things that they have, a reporting requirement that they've made on all of our healthcare officials, they have added that any kind of, all coronavirus must be reported by electronic reporting by laboratory facility, anybody. This emergency rule will provide the state health officer the ability to make critical decisions to protect human health. So all of our health providers out there, if you test someone, you have within 24 hours to get that information to the Department of Health in the state of Louisiana. All patients with a fever, respiratory symptoms, and a negative influenza test in Louisiana should receive a coronavirus test. If they tested negative to a flu but still have flu-like symptoms, they're required to still get this test just to make sure what they have. When they do that, the emergency room makes the reporting of the coronavirus case mandatory, and the emergency room makes all laboratory tests for coronavirus, whether positive or negative, reportable to the state in that 24-hour period. To bring you up to date on the cases that have been reported, have been 171 in the state of Louisiana. 457 tests have been completed by the state lab. And this is a breakdown of the parishes where the cases reported and the cases that are positive. There's been 1 in Bossier Parish, 4 in Caddo, 1 in Washington Parish, 116 in Orleans Parish, 6 in St. Tammany, 2 in St. Bernard, 31 in Jefferson, 3 in St. Charles, 2 in Lafourche, 3 in Terrebonne, 1 in Ascension, and 1 in St. John the Baptist. I'm glad to say, currently, to our knowledge, we have no reported cases of coronavirus in our area. Also, I would like to say, one of the risks to our public right now is to minimize the risk of spread. Louisiana officials are advising us, the public, to practice social distancing by not gathering with large groups of people. Large events and mass gatherings can contribute to the spread of the coronavirus in Louisiana and introduce the virus to new communities. And examples of large events and mass gatherings include conferences, festivals, parades, concerts, sporting events, weddings, and other types of assemblies. These events can be planned not only by organizations and communities, but also by individuals. And the Department of Health is also working with healthcare providers to promptly identify and evaluate any suspected cases.
Excuse me, Mayor. They're having apparently a hard time hearing on Facebook.
Okay.
Maybe we can turn the lights up?
Turn the lights up, you're gonna get back to me, they're already.
Okay.
It's just real low.
Okay.
How do you want to stand closer to him?
I guess so, you can do that. But anyway, I apologize for those who haven't been able to hear so far. So far, confirmed cases in Louisiana have ranged from mild illness, similar to a common cold, to severe pneumonia that requires hospitalization, and so far deaths have been reported are mainly in older adults who have had health conditions. The symptoms of this confirmed infections, reported illnesses have ranged from infected people with little to no symptoms and similar to a common cold, to people being severely ill and dying. Symptoms can include fever, cough, shortness of breath, and difficulty breathing. The CDC believes at this time that symptoms of coronavirus may appear in as few as 2 days or as long as 14 after exposure. There is no specific antiviral treatment recommended for coronavirus infection. People infected with coronavirus should receive supportive care to help relieve symptoms. So how does the coronavirus spread? Health experts are still learning the details about how this new coronavirus spreads. Other coronaviruses spread from an infected person to others through respiratory droplets produced when coughing or sneezing, close personal contact, touching an object or surface with the virus on it, then touching your mouth, nose, or eyes. What you can do: anyone who recently traveled to China, who experiences fever, cough, or other acute illness should contact a healthcare provider as soon as possible and mention your travel. Please call ahead and inform the healthcare provider about your travel history. It is currently flu and respiratory season, and the flu activity is still high and expected to continue for a number of weeks. Take steps to avoid spreading germs from any respiratory disease by getting the flu vaccine and taking flu antivirals if prescribed, covering your cough, staying home if you're sick, and washing your hands. Our Louisiana Department of Health is doing a lot of things to try to minimize the spread of this virus. And from the state of Louisiana and our governor, he also put out this proclamation. And he did this with the guidance of the CDC, which is the Center for Disease and Control. Coronavirus is a pandemic suggests aggressive measures for limiting the possible interaction of public with individuals exposed to or infected with coronavirus, including limited large public gatherings. One thing I want to interject at this point is the virus, some people it is mild, but to a large portion of the older community, older people, it attacks the respiratory. With the common flu, many of us go home, take a Tamiflu or something, and we sleep it off and we go back to work. Someone my age now can get it, and it attacks our respiratory, and we would have to actually be put into a hospital and put on some kind of oxygen and breathing apparatus to be able to make it. And they're scared if they don't flatten out this curve in the cases that there's not enough devices and hospital beds to care for the older population or those people who are already compromised breathing. So that's one of the reasons why it is serious that they're trying to really quash this. Also, it limits with interactions between members of the public, including school-aged children who may be in a position to pass the coronavirus to vulnerable populations, including the elderly or those with underlying medical conditions. It also encourages social distancing and prevention of unnecessary personal interactions. Individuals who are impacted by coronavirus may not be able to report to work. They may need to be isolated or quarantined, and they may have to care for a sick family member or care for a child whose school is closed or be forced to quit their jobs. Our town is taking precautions and measures to make sure that our services continue, whether it's our electricity, our water supplies, our gas, all these things are done. We're talking about cross-training some key employees in case one of those were to get sick. But we want to ensure the people that their services and your public safety is important to us, and we're going to make sure that continues during this time. And we also have talked to, and one of the things that we're going to ask the council to do is to give us this emergency declaration today, so we can relax some things as far as our employees are concerned, to relax some of our sick leave policy and also our major medical, so we can maybe help those people take care of their family or themselves where they contract this virus. An individual's inability to work due to a coronavirus diagnosis, an individual being isolated or quarantined, caring for a sick family member, caring for a child whose school is closed, and the extraordinary volume of resulting unemployment claims pose serious challenges to the effective and timely administration of the unemployment compensation system. And one of the things that they can do, they want to make sure that you get this reported quickly, and they're going to try to respond to it quickly as far as the Department of Labor. Office of Motor Vehicle may offer services by remote customer service agent interaction at the current Office of Motor Vehicles office locations. They're also going to extend times if your license is coming new and you can't get it renewed. They're going to give you a grace period to get that done. Any state department or agency or political subdivision is hereby granted authority to extend any non-essential deadline for a period of no longer than 30 days if deemed necessary to respond to the threat of coronavirus. The Louisiana legislature is hereby requested to consider a suspension resolution which would allow for the suspension of any legal requirements to ensure the continued operation of state and local government, including issues as legal deadlines and quorum requirements for open meetings. For the purpose of this executive order, emergency-related claims shall mean claims for unemployment compensation filed by persons whose unemployment is directly due to impact of coronavirus or due to their inability to get their job or work site because they are sick, isolated, or quarantined, caring for a sick family member, or when an employee's child's school is closed as determined by the administrator of the state's unemployment compensation program, i.e. the executive director of the Louisiana Workforce Commission. Emergency-related claims will not necessarily include all claims in all parishes included in coronavirus proclamations, declarations, or orders. And now getting more to the proclamation, we're about to wrap up and we go into our meeting. Relating to gaming establishments, restaurants, bars, cafes, and coffee shops are necessary because of the ability of the coronavirus to spread by personal interactions and because of physical contamination of property due to its propensity to attach to surfaces for prolonged periods of time. And that means they want these businesses to close. Other than on the restaurants, they will allow the takeout, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. In an effort to reduce and limit the spread of coronavirus in Louisiana and to preserve the health and safety of all members of the public, all gatherings of 50 people or more between 12 o'clock a.m. Tuesday, March 17th, and Monday, April 13th, shall be postponed or canceled. This applies only to gatherings in a single space at the same time where individuals will be in close proximity to one another. It does not apply to normal operations at locations like airports, medical facilities, shopping centers, malls, office buildings, factories, or manufacturing facilities, or grocery or department stores. This order does not limit the ability of a local jurisdiction or political subdivision from enacting more restrictive limitations. Also, pursuant to this, the governor has determined that some business establishments are unable to continue current operations without unacceptable risks to health and safety of the public. Therefore, at 12 o'clock a.m. on Tuesday, March 17, 2020, all casinos, video poker establishments, movie theaters, bars, bowling alleys, fitness centers, and gyms statewide shall cease operations completely. Any truck stop may remain in operation but shall cease all gaming operations. Racetracks may remain open but no member of the public may be allowed therein, and no gaming operations shall be allowed. These restrictions shall remain in place until 11:59 p.m. on April the 12th, unless terminated earlier. Also, pursuant to this statute, the governor has determined that some business establishments are unable to continue current operations without unacceptable risks to health and safety of the public. Therefore, at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, March 17th, all restaurants, cafes, and coffee shops statewide shall cease allowing for any premises consumption of food or beverages. Any establishment affected by this order may continue takeout, drive-through, and delivery services. However, in no circumstance shall the food or beverage purchased be consumed on the premises. Hotel restaurants may continue operations, but only for the service of registered hotel guests by room service. These restrictions shall remain in place until 11:59 p.m. on April 12, 2020, unless terminated earlier. Courts, administrative agencies, and boards statewide shall use due diligence in communicating with attorneys, parties to proceedings with pending deadlines in public, how the court, agency, or board will implement and interpret the provisions of this order. A state of emergency is declared to exist statewide for the purpose of allowing the chief law enforcement officer of any political subdivision to, in order to protect life and property and to bring the emergency situation under control, promulgate orders for any provision therein, including a local curfew from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock a.m. And I would like to say that we want to impose that. We know the kids are out of school. This is not holiday time. This is not a time they should be out at night and getting together and having get-togethers and gatherings. This is to protect our public. In closing up, I would like to tell our public that they can go to the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, and they have a two-page document here that can, and I'm not going to read these things to you, but I will provide them for you if somebody can get them. And it tells you preventing the spread of coronavirus disease 2019 in homes and residential communities, which it also is 2020 now. But it has preventative steps you can take at home and what to do with should one of your family members contract the virus, and also for yourself.
Mayor, I think we've got a link now on our website or Facebook page to the LDH
Okay.
website page.
Thank you, Clerk. What he's saying, we now have a link on our website page on our Town of Vidalia internet site that will direct you to that link, so if anybody wants to get that. So with that being said, that's our statement, and now I would like to go into the first item on our agenda is board discussion and vote on the resolution of the Town of Vidalia declaring a public health emergency due to coronavirus. So is there any discussion from the board or questions?
No, I make a motion to approve as written.
Okay, so we go to number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and use your recommendation for that. Board discussion and vote on a resolution of the Town of Vidalia, Louisiana, granting the mayor emergency powers for the town operations and responding to coronavirus.
I second.
Motion made by Alderman Dory, second by Alderman Gardner, right here. All in favor?
Aye.
No, any opposed? Okay. I would like to invite our public. You know who your aldermen are. You know you have our numbers. My number is 601-807-3298. Anybody have questions? I'll be glad to answer them. That's any time. So, again, thank y'all for coming on this short notice. And, you know, keep our town and our country in your prayers. And we'll keep everybody up to date. As you know, our elections have been postponed as well. Right now, the early vote is going to be June the 6th through the 13th. The general election will be June the 20th, with the runoff to be July the 25th. So that is the newest dates that we've been given. And anything else anybody have any questions about, I'll be glad we'll talk about them after the meeting. So do I hear a motion we adjourn?
Hold on, before you
Okay,
do,
yeah.
just, if you don't mind, for clarification on there, because there was a question. The curfew that is imposed is for everyone, not just the young children,
Well,
correct?
this it's for non-essential. I mean, people going to work, or
Right.
you know, healthcare officials, first responders.
Of course.
Those things. Is for people who are working, but for those just to joyride and be having gatherings and meeting up in the parking lot and those things, whatever age you might be.
That's right.
That's to be prohibited. Now, that doesn't say you're going to be getting a ticket. However, you will be stopped and said you need to go home, and that's just for the safety of our people. So, for clarification. Okay, thank y'all all so much.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Motion made and adjourned. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Tommy. Alderman Probst. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.